You know, for most tech leaders, that word governance, it just means one thing, right? A roadblock. It's this hurdle you've got to get around in the race to innovate and be first. But what if we've been looking at it completely wrong? Today, we're going to reframe this whole thing. We're going to explore why real governance isn't about control at all. It's about responsibility.
Think about it this way. Imagine trying to build a massive skyscraper with no engineering oversight, no safety checks, not even a basic blueprint for who's accountable if things go wrong. I mean, it's just unthinkable, isn't it? The risk of a total catastrophe is just way too high. And yet, this is pretty much exactly how many of us are approaching the rollout of incredibly powerful new technologies like AI.
Now, this isn't some abstract theoretical problem. This quote right here, it grounds us in a really harsh reality. Here in Nigeria, the tech community, we have lived through the consequences of that build first, regulate later mindset. The damage isn't a hypothetical. It's a real, recorded part of our national experience.
And the price for ignoring governance, it always comes due. It shows up as furious customers, a total loss of public trust, and just plain legal chaos. But the worst part from a business perspective, it arrives as reactive, heavy-handed emergency regulation, the very thing proactive leadership could have avoided in the first place.
What's so interesting is that this whole challenge we're facing with AI, it isn't new. Not at all. In fact, it fits right into a predictable and frankly damaging policy cycle. So let's break down this pattern, because it's one we've seen again and again right here in Nigeria.
So this is the cycle of reaction. First, an exciting new technology pops up. Then, adoption just explodes, moving way faster than anyone can really understand the risks. Phase 3? Well, inevitably, damage occurs. Data gets abused, consumers get harmed, and only then, in Phase 4, when there's intense public pressure, does the government finally step in with these reactive and often really restrictive rules.
And listen, this isn't just a theory. We saw this exact cycle play out with data privacy before the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation, the NDPR. We saw it with the initial massive SIM card registration, with getting consumer protection in our telecom sector, and with all the abuses in the early days of fintech. AI is simply the next technology on this exact same conveyor belt.
So what happens when we actually break out of this cycle? Well, the proof is pretty clear. When governance is introduced, it doesn't kill innovation. In fact, it creates a stable, responsible ecosystem where businesses can actually thrive for the long haul.
This slide illustrates the point perfectly. Just take data protection. Before the NDPR, personal data was basically the Wild West. As you can see on the left, consent was murky at best, and accountability? Totally optional. The NDPR didn't stop digital business. No way. It forced the entire ecosystem to get more responsible, which led to the stability you see there on the right. Or hey, just look at the telecom sector. The Nigerian Communications Commission, the NCC, brought in governance that gave us things like quality of service benchmarks and clear ways for consumers to complain. It created accountability and built the very foundation for the thriving, innovative telecom sector we all rely on today.
But here's the massive disconnect. Today, nobody would seriously argue that we should get rid of all the telecom rules just to unleash innovation. I mean, it sounds absurd, right? And yet that is precisely the argument being made, either out loud or behind the scenes, for artificial intelligence right now.
Okay, so this requires a huge shift in our mindset. We have got to move away from just thinking about rules and restrictions and move towards a totally new definition of governance, one that's built on leadership and taking responsibility before things go wrong. This right here, this is the key reframe. Governance is not about someone micromanaging your product development. It is about you as a leader accepting responsibility for the potential impact of your technology before it hurts someone. It's proactive, not reactive. So if you're a leader and the word governance just feels restrictive, like a straitjacket, that feeling is a symptom. It's a huge signal that risk was never properly assessed in the first place and that accountability was never clearly defined. It points to a leadership choice to deploy now and secure later. And let's be clear, that's not innovation. That is an abdication of responsibility. Governance doesn't slow innovation. It prevents regret. Just think about that for a second. It's not a brake pedal on progress. It's the guardrail that stops your company from driving right off a cliff of public outrage and regulatory backlash. Ultimately, all of this, it connects back to the #1 goal of every single executive: growth. But sustainable growth, real scale, it has a price. And that price is responsibility. Responsibility is the price of scale. It's that simple. It cannot build a massive, trusted company on a foundation of unassessed risk. It's just not possible. Your customers, and eventually the regulators, they will demand accountability. Lasting scale is earned through responsibility.
And this isn't happening in a vacuum. The broader policy direction is already crystal clear. The African Union's own emerging strategies for AI are built on pillars of human rights, accountability, and transparency, all designed to protect African realities from imported risks. The tide is already moving in this direction.
Which brings us back to this central contrast. As you see on the left, telecoms have established benchmarks and clear accountability. It's mature. On the right, emerging AI is this incredibly powerful technology with no equivalent standards. It's a void, just waiting to be filled either by proactive industry leadership or by reactive, heavy-handed regulation. And that leaves every tech leader with a really critical question. Given Nigeria's history, our policy patterns, and the proven success of governance in other sectors, should AI systems that impact citizens' rights and their finances be treated with any less seriousness than we treat our phone networks? The choice between proactive leadership and forced regulation, it's on the table, right now.